this is Jen. So in this video, we are looking at 3 key quotations from Macbeth. Now, I've actually already done quite a couple of videos analysing some of the most important Macbeth quotations, and I've curated a playlist for all of them, which you should check out if you haven't already watched them. So you can check that out in the link here. But of course, there is no end to key quotations in Macbeth. So if you're looking for more analysis, then stick around because this is just the video for you. To beguile the time, look like the time. Bear welcome in your eye, your hand, your tongue. Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. This quotation comes right after Lady Macbeth has read her husband's letter about the witch's prophecy, when Macbeth arrives at the palace to meet her. Now, by this point, she's already made up her mind about what they should do to Duncan. But she knows her husband too well to also know that he'll probably dilly-dally and pussyfoot when it comes to killing the king, despite his great ambitions. So when Lady Macbeth counsels Macbeth to beguile the time, look like the time reference is a metonym for men of their time. So her point here is for Macbeth to blend in with the crowd and to pretend that nothing is amiss, which is of course ironic because the couple truly believe themselves to be special and unique from the rest of the pack. The synecdoche of the phrase, your eye, your hand, your tongue, while serving as a stand-in for Macbeth's whole person, also preempts their violent act with the separated body parts connoting the idea of anatomical severance. Now, there's lots of visual imagery in the scene with 2 references to look like in the phrases look like the time and look like the innocent flower, as well as your eye, which tells us that the thematic focus here is appearance versus reality, specifically of fabricating an appearance to cover up the reality. This notion is extended with the juxtaposition between look like the innocent flower and be the serpent under it. The serpent is of course a biblical allusion to the serpentine devil in paradise, who tempts Eve into tasting the forbidden fruit, which leads to Adam tasting it as well, and siring forth what we now know as the original sin. This biblical context is echoed in what's happening in the scene, as Lady Macbeth prods her husband into committing an act of sin, in effect turning husband and wife into a pair of latter-day Shakespearean Adam and Eve. Now, one final point that bears commenting is the presence of parallelism in this quotation. Notice that the phrases are orderly and consistent, with the time, blah blah blah, the time, your eye, your hand, your tongue, look like, etc, etc, look like, etc. This presents an interesting irony between form and content, because Lady Macbeth is encouraging chaos and inconsistency, specifically between what Macbeth projects to the public and what he actually does in secret. Prithee, peace! I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none. In response to his wife's taunting of his indecisiveness, Macbeth at first tries to hold his ground by appealing to his manhood. Now, to give him credit, his understanding of manhood is actually more than just the masculine. When he says, I dare do all that may become a man, he actually means that he will do whatever is appropriate for a decent human, which shows that his understanding of man is all-encompassing. But of course, his wily wife turns this on its head by reinterpreting the word man in the masculine, and thereby successfully attacking Macbeth's male ego. By the way, note that Macbeth uses the modal verb of possibility, may, which suggests a wavering conviction in what he's saying here. So we see that Macbeth wishes to do what is right, but he's also open to what's right being a contingency rather than a non-negotiable. So this shows us that what Macbeth perceives to be appropriate and inappropriate behaviour is in fact troublingly unclear, and his moral blurriness is reinforced by the internal rhyme of or and more in dare do all and dares do more. What is all that may become a man isn't, after all, that distinct from what's more. And finally, in his daring claim that who dares do more is none, the immediate implication of none is a lack of worth. But the word also embodies the idea of nothingness, absence, and by extension, non-existence. So this symbolically foreshadows Macbeth's fate at the end of the play, because by daring to do more with his murders of Duncan, Banquo, and Macduff's family, he ultimately dies, thereby losing his state as a man and becomes literally no one, none. By the way guys, if you find this video helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button below and also subscribe to my channel so that I can keep making these English Lit study videos for you down the line. Time, thou anticipatest my dread exploits. The flighty purpose never is overtook, unless the deed go with it. From this moment the very firstlings of my heart shall be the firstlings of my hand, and even now, to crown my thoughts with acts, be it thought and done. And this quotation comes after Macbeth meets the apparitions that are conjured up by the witches, whom he seeks out in a frenzy after hallucinating Banquo's ghost. So Macbeth is told to beware Macduff, but not to fear any man of woman born. And he's also told that he'll not be harmed as long as Birnam Wood doesn't come near Dunsinane Hill, which is a literal impossibility. But despite these so-called reassurances, which we'll go on to know are actually misleading cues, Macbeth grows ever more paranoid and decides to ambush Macduff's castle. Despite having already committed so many murders though, he's still not completely emboldened by this point. And we see here that he continues to be pulled back by his natural hesitancy. With an apostrophe, Macbeth personifies time, which is the period between thought and action, and he blames time for his lack of resoluteness. He's frustrated by his tendency to overthink, and throughout this quotation we see a clear strain of antithesis between thinking and doing, namely in purpose, deed, heart, hand, thoughts, acts, and thought done. The biggest irony here is that contrary to Macbeth's self-evaluation as someone who thinks too much before acting, the entire play actually presents him as someone who doesn't actually think enough about the consequences of his actions before doing anything. So we see that actually he's got the order between thought and action reversed, and this is perhaps best reflected in the polyptoton of thoughts and thought in the final line, to crown my thoughts with acts, be it thought and done. The noun precedes the verb, which suggests that he allows his thought to manifest before he's even done any real thinking. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope this quick key quotation analysis on Macbeth is helpful. Don't forget to check out all the other videos I've created on Macbeth, links in the description box below. Finally, please do hit the thumbs up button and also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more useful English Lit study content from me down the line. Massively appreciate it as always. So I'll see you guys soon.